Good morning, church.
Good morning.
My name is Byron Keller II, nickname DK. I attend Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm an upcoming sophomore, and my major is accounting. My GPA in the second semester is 3.8.
My name is Dariana Irving. I just graduated from Mercer University's Georgia Baptist College of Nursing. My ending GPA was a 3.48, and I just accepted a job with Grady in the trauma unit.
Hello, my name is Luke Gay. I'm 17 years old. I'm a rising senior in the class of 2021, and my final GPA was a 3.9.
Praise the Lord.
Graduate of Howard University, Justice, Honors. Graduated, double graduated. I'm graduate transfer at Auburn University, studying global planning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
My name is Trey Gates. I am a recent graduate of Morehouse College. It is nice to meet you all this morning. How are we all doing?
Good.
And I finished Morehouse College with a 3.19 GPA.
Please welcome our panelists. Panelists, you might be seated. Give them another round of applause. First of all, it is our indeed honor to have you. You supposed to be on the panel? Come out front so I can see you. So I don't know you by name, so I'm gonna allow you to introduce yourself. Did he come to be on the panel? Huh? Give him a mic. Look confused a little bit. Tell us who you are and what your inscription is as far as education and where you're going from here. Go ahead.
Hello, church. My name is Chris Smythe, and I just graduated from Southwest Christian Academy. I'm going to status for that. And my major right now is TV production. My minor is business management, and I graduated in 3.6.
So we headed to Savannah to SCAD, Performing Arts School. We're going to start, first of all, and I left a lot of my notes at home, but I'm going to start with the platform of the new Jim Crow. What does the real new Jim Crow look like? We want to talk about the Jim Crow. We want to also talk about mass incarceration. We want to talk about trap music. And we want to talk about solutions to where we, as young people, go from here. I need you all to talk to us. I know you say we're old school. We want to also talk about the voting rights privileges. I know you think we're just out of touch and out of contact with you. So help us understand what your thoughts are, what life is like with you. And then we'll comment accordingly for what life has been like for us. We're trying to blend the older with the younger. How many understands the Jim Crow philosophy and what does it mean or what does it look like today? I'm gonna leave that as a format. The new Jim Crow. Anybody want to start with that as I lead you into the discussion? Trey?
Well, the new Jim Crow, it doesn't wear white sheets anymore. It's not just a Ku Klux Klan member. It can wear, let's say, a police uniform. It could wear a businessman suit. It could be a lawyer. It could be a doctor. It could be all these different members of society. But the new Jim Crow basically defines a person that can accept others. It doesn't accept a person with red, white, black, polka dot, any type of color. They don't accept people for who they are, what their professions are, what their socioeconomic status is. So the new Jim Crow is just this idea or a group of people that doesn't accept the people of today in modern society. So that's my definition of Jim Crow. It's not about race, it's more about socioeconomic status, a bit more than that. So it goes a little bit more deeper than that.
To a great point, great point, Trey. When we think about what the old Jim Crow was like, the old Jim Crow prohibited people of color from going and having access. which means you couldn't go in this building. You had to go around to the back door, or you couldn't drink out of this fountain, or you couldn't attend or stay overnight in this hotel. That was what the old Jim Crow looked like. But the new Jim Crow now is painted up in a manner to where, as he said, it's invisible. Anybody else, any Jim Crow comments or any experiences that you've had with what the new Jim Crow looks like? Anybody?
Well, my personal experience would be me trying to step up and take a leadership role at, for one of my schoolmates' businesses. He has his own clothing line. He wanted me to be the CFO for his business, and his suppliers and his funders wouldn't let they wanted him to have the right person, somebody they wanted to bring in. So basically, the new Jim Crow to me would be, the people, the system, white Americans not wanting us to take, be able to be ourselves, articulate our culture, our things. But to that same point, they want to take it and use it, to their satisfaction, and basically take everything away from us. So it is in kind of invisible, injustice with, with the things that we do, our entertainers, our athletes, our just people who are prominent figures that are African American. Them not wanting us to do, articulate our points, basically what's going on now. They don't want, some people don't want us posting things that, about the injustices. It's just, they want us to keep quiet still. And you just don't see it as much because everybody's still breaking out and being themselves.
That's a good point, Luke. I'm coming. One of the adages that kind of seeped out in social media was when LeBron began to speak out, and various people began to just say in their comment section, "Shut up and dribble." Now, I'm going to ask this as it comes back around. I'm going to allow Luke to talk, but are we only relevant to the white community or the community at large when we are an athlete, an entertainer of some sort? Think about that. I'm going to need you to talk your way through that as well. Luke, your comments.
So I was just gonna say, I feel like with the new Jim Crow, it's more like we've been oppressed for so long, and now we're trying to get back to like a state of equality, whether it be financially, economically, and as a people, it's like we're reaching for somebody and something, and it's like in a tree, and we can't get it. And they're kind of like banging over our heads, whether that be like equality, things of that nature. And I feel like honestly, we're in a struggle with ourselves as people and the other races. And that's the problem. We're not unified enough, and then we want to go fight another war with other races. So yeah.
So you don't think we have enough unity within our own community?
I do not.
So what would be a living example of the disloyalty or the non-community, where we are united and collectively together?
I think one obvious example is gangs, Bloods, Crips, whatever. Like, when two people, we're all of the same race, all brothers, essentially whatever.
Gangs. Stay with your point. Stay with your point. Let me lead you. Hold on. Let me lead you. Raise your hand by a show of hands. Are gangs positive? Raise your hand. Gangs are positive. So you're going to address his call. Anybody else? Are gangs positive? All right, go on with your gangs. Understand the fact that he's mentioning to us that we do need to be committed. Gangs are territorial and they carry their own agenda for whatever purpose. I'll let you address that. Finish, Luke.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying, yeah. With gangs, I just feel like we kill each other, and then over like territory, money, drugs, etc. And I think it's crazy. And then we're killing each other, and then the white man, cops are killing us too. It's like, how are we gonna win?
Answer.
I think if you really like, I want to take my time to answer because, if you really hear the other side of the story, because I feel like from your point, and I'm not saying you're wrong or whatever, but I feel like it's very media-based. Like, the media portray that gangs are an issue. It's the gang violence that's the problem. But if you really interview the people who are in gangs, they talk about unity, they talk about
Does all gangs talk about unity?
you don't know all gangs. So you can't make a broad
So,
statement.
so by and large though, so that we can encapsulate it and not take it from border to border, what we know about gangs is what we do have to address, whether it be promoting drug dealing, whether it be promoting activism about, territory and various other things, and fighting against the police and that kind of stuff. Do you really believe that gangs are good, bad, indifferent, or are you looking at various isolated cases?
I'm looking at the media that we portray, I feel like the Black Twitter control our own community on social media. CNN, CBS, all the other media base, they're driven by white people. If you look at social media, and especially the issue that's going on today, you see blue bandanas and red bandanas tagging against each other and coming together and marching together. So those are the things that won't make CNN. Those are the things that we see under the rug that social media kind of push because we have control over what we show people. The things that we don't have control over what we show people are the gang violences and provoke the officer to do this to this black man, and they make it seem like black people are wild and hoodlums, but they blame it on gangs, and not all gangs have gang violence, and it's not all bad.
And to his point, which is a very good point, as an alternative, is the media does want to project and control the narrative. They want us to think that so many of our population are prison candidates primarily because the judiciary system is quite insensitive to us. At the same time, how much of this do we look at, or do we listen to, and do we outright believe that this is who we are? We're thugs, we're into this mindset, we're into that mindset. I have a question from the audience. The gang's origination was with the overall intent to protect the community, to educate and provide and show them a way of escape. There's some situations going on where kids are born without their fathers in the home, their mothers are struggling, not to mention the drug addicts and the mentally deranged, that kind of stuff. We do have a lot of struggles. And with our struggles, we have to find our way to try to contribute to what life has to offer me. I'm behind the 8 ball. I was born behind the 8 ball. I'm living behind the 8 ball, and that's what promotes trap music. But to the extent of the Jim Crow, can we continue to go on in our discussion? Ms. Dariana, do you have any comments?
For me, as a young black educated woman, many times you will see that it kind of offends the opposite race whenever they see someone as educated as I am or as educated as you guys are. They don't want to see us educated the way that we are. They don't want to see us on their level. So yeah, I can say that I'm a great nurse, and there can also be someone of another race that's also a great nurse, but they're still going to look down on me as a person because of what has gone on in the past. And so being educated is almost as hard because you know that you're educated, but you're having to always continuously tell people and show that you are educated and that you're not like your ancestors and that you will fight for your rights.
Here's a clear-cut example in one of my studies. An African-American lawyer, middle-aged African-American lawyer, was dressed in a suit. He was representing a white defendant. But he was in a rural town, I think it was in Arkansas, if my memory serves me correctly. And while he was in the prelude to the trial, the judge comes out of the chamber. When the judge sees the African-American male, whom he presumed to be the convict, he said, hey, get out of here and go stand out in the hall until your lawyer gets here. He just assumed that the black guy with the suit on was the defendant, and he was not supposed to be in the court session until his lawyer arrived, and then they walked him in. To her point, there are so many benchmarks that you have to accomplish and achieve. That's the new Jim Crow. When you go to school with them, now you've got to be afforded the best and the brightest. You can't continue to be the hood guy who cheats on his test, who's unprepared, who's not communicative, who's not articulate, who cannot express himself. And no, you don't need to change with your culture to the extent to where you have to think and be white. You can be black and still be accepted for those who will accept you. If they don't accept you, you keep on that track of your goals and everything you ascribe to try to be beyond that. Because don't lose your identity in society where they're trying to tell you, you got to look this, you got to think that. Your hand, Sister Dariana.
Another thing I wanted to add was many times if I'm on the phone with someone, they hear my accent before they see my name. And they see my name and they think, oh, she's black because her name is Dariana. But then I get on the phone with them and they say, oh, she's white. So whenever I go into the office, because I'm literate, they are very thrown off. They're not expecting me to be Dariana with a so-called white literate voice. They're expecting us to have this thug mentality or this hood girl mentality. And so it's very good whenever we can show them that that's not all of us. So that's what I have to say towards that.
And to that extent, too many times in our community, Trey, we need to sound black. We need to have our thick ethnicity lingo. And that ain't always good in the corporate world, DK. That's not good. You must create a channel of communication with all people from the business perspective as well. Anybody else has a comment about the name and or the language that we project? Because you're going to be judged and rated by how you communicate. Trey and Caleb.
Okay, so I recently heard this quote like a week ago. So basically, here it goes. Basically, your feelings are the triggers to your soul. So basically, if you think about it, when you're in your feelings a lot, it kind of deprives you from reaching for opportunities, whether it be for yourself or people of color or people around you. So the way I see it, oftentimes in these spaces, social spaces, especially these job places, we often code switch because we feel like our natural dialect is a bit much for the workplace. Be that as it may, but I feel like a lot of us oftentimes we lose ourselves. We're not always as authentic about our intentions in the workplace. And oftentimes we may sound like something like Dariana says, something completely different on the phone, but in our personal self in person, we'll completely something else. We'll get more than what our voices sound like, what we look like. So oftentimes I feel like people lose themselves as far as the idea of code switching. So like I said, sometimes our feelings are the triggers to our soul. So definitely consider that when making these big decisions in society.
I feel like in the black community, it goes both ways when you talk about code switching. And I feel like in the black community and culture, we're very confident and we're very unapologetic about being unique. With that comes good and with that comes bad because in our culture is a lot of family, a lot of things that we're just unapologetic about. Like in our community, as males, we're extremely dominant. We lust extreme, like we catcall, and we have to state the obvious of things that.
So what is catcall?
Catcalling is if a girl walks by, you got a group of guys. Majority of the time, guys are gonna, hey, ma, you know what I'm saying? What's up? You know what I mean? And it's cool. But at the end of the day, we don't really think about, as males, we don't think about the feelings of the girl. And I feel like we have this dominant trait that it's not about nobody else, it's about us. I don't care about these white folks, it's about me. And I feel like it's about our culture that gives us, like, you can't tell me nothing. And I'm gonna live the way I wanna live, and I'm gonna do what I wanna do, and I'm gonna say what I wanna say because I'm black. And I feel like sometimes that's good, but sometimes fire can either warm up a house or burn it down. So
That's a good point. Brother man on the end. Brother man, kind of bring me up to speed with your thoughts. Are we angry with white people? How do we defend this new movement, this outright peaceful protest? We're not ones who are going to ascribe to the mere fact of looting, tearing down building, just going through the streets pillaging. What's your thoughts about black males being angry with white society in general? And then you begin. address 2 or 3 aspects why they are angry.
I understand because they are treated as very unfair, and we all know it, but I feel like the violence just gives them another reason to hurt us, and I don't think it's right. I think we do it like Martin Luther King, peaceful protesting. I feel like we can be like him, all of us, honestly. That's how I feel.
But do we see peaceful protests by and large in the last 4 months, 2 months? Do we see peaceful protests? Because that wasn't, well, I'm not going to say. Are you good? You good? Luke?
I just want to say to Nakir's point, like, I feel like we've always been peaceful protesting for years and years and years. And now, as a people, we got to a point we just can't take it anymore. And it's like, and people say, I want to address the looting. And I thought it was bad too at first. And then I really started researching, and I found out we don't own, like a lot of businesses, a lot of buildings. So it's kind of like, but we built it. Like, we built this country for free. And we really start realizing that. And it's like, it's supposed to be our stuff. And we don't own any of it. And then the people are sitting on us.
And when we say we don't own any of it, we are property owners on a very marginal basis.
Right.
By the whole U.S. economy, the entirety of the U.S. economy's pie, we are, as a people of color, only ownership of up to no more than 2 to 3%. Blacks only own 2 to 3% of the U.S. economy. Now, we make money, but we're not good stewards of what we do with our money. We're concerned with Gucci, we're concerned with designer stuff, and we live from paycheck to paycheck, and we ascribe ourselves to Asian people and various other people who really don't like us anyway. They like our money, they want us to spend money. When you're in the store, spend your money and get out, until we now get more programmed to what our role in society is. We're not gonna get into it. But you're saying looting is acceptable?
I'm not gonna say it's acceptable, but I understand why we're doing it.
Okay, Kaylin, your point. Your hand is up. Yeah.
So there are protestings out there, like with those events, they occur, they're quiet protests. But I do believe that the media is like the center of attention. So they put out certain footage out there that makes it seem like we're not doing peaceful protesting. But I feel like blacks as a whole, most of us who are not as educated to know why we're angry, they just do it because they want to do. So I just feel like everybody should have a reason to protest and know what they're protesting about before they just go out there and just do it.
Very good point. Don't just go out there. Don't just get a vigilante group to just start pounding the streets, turning over cars, cursing at the police, antagonizing law enforcement, because all you're going to do is create a problem. Even you, Kaylin, if you get nose to nose to that police officer and agitate him for 40 minutes and then you walk away, the next male is probably going to get the brunt of that brutality because you left and went away. Or you threw a rock from here to Mr. Luther and you antagonized law enforcement, but Luke and BK was 4 feet from him. They ended up getting stomped out or beat down. I do think that we have come to a point in our lives to where we ain't gonna accept this knee on our neck mentality no more. How many believe it's time for a continued annual, year-round, everyday protest? Raise your hand. But how we protest, when we protest, what we do in the midst of our protest has to be calculated. It can't be stupid stuff. We can't have jackasses out here leading us to a dead-end street or a slaughter. Let me jump between this protest and trap music. I want y'all to talk to me about who these artists are. I don't know who the artists are. I don't listen to trap music. I don't know whether it's a benefit to society. I don't know whether it's a nemesis to society. I need you to tell me 3 or 4 trap music artists who have good stuff to say, and tell me who their names are. Write their name down. I'm gonna go listen to it this upcoming week. And tell me the trap artists who really are carrying us further away from the truth and create problems. Trap music. Somebody talk to me. trap music. Go.
So you want me to start it, sir?
What you think about trap music first? What is trap music? Teach the deacons and the preachers. I don't know what trap music is. I just hear the term. What is it?
Well, it consists of, if we're being real, drugs, money, sex, all type of things that's not really realistic, but there's one person who actually stood out with his voice. His name's Lil Baby, and he made a song in the bigger picture, and he talks about social injustice and the fact he's really with this. Most of his songs involve the things I just talked about, and now he's actually stepped it up and stepped it out.
Is Lil Baby the only one?
No, there's plenty. J. Cole, Kendrick, there's plenty of people that step out the conversation.
Okay, well, what is trap music? What is trap music about? You said sex, drug, money. What else is it about, Dariana?
I think that trap music is about it's a lifestyle. I know that T.I. is known for making trap music and having a trap museum and all that kind of stuff, and he's one of the people.
But what is trap music? Trap music means what, sir? So it's a systemic culture or lifestyle that over time, eventually, you're gonna get caught. The mouse gonna get on the trap. Okay, so we accept that to a certain degree, and while it is being processed to an example that it benefits a little baby, whoever, whatever, but let's not get lost in the grand scheme of what trap music is suggesting and how it's contributing to this mass incarceration. Trey.
To answer the question about what is trap music, I basically feel like it's like Dr. Martin Luther King saying a riot is the voice of the unheard. So basically, trap music is the voice of the unheard. I mean, it's basically the storytelling of the struggle that goes on within our societies as people of color, oftentimes. So that's what I feel like the definition of trap is. But for an artist or two, I would recommend Skip Jackson. He's from New Orleans, and I would also recommend one from
Skip Jackson.
And also, I would recommend Sci-Hi. Either C-A-C-Y-H-I. Sci-Hi the Prince, he's very good. It's not always about sex, money, and drugs. It's a bit more deeper than that. So, like they say, deeper than rap. So it's a bit more deeper.
Luke, time he called the name. What name did you call? Lil Baby. Your hand won't flying up. What Lil Baby got to say?
Well, like Nakir said, even in the song, he talks about how like social injustice, what we're going through, and in all his other songs.
What's the name of the song? I can't listen to everything.
It's called The Bigger Picture.
The Bigger Picture. Lil Baby. How old is Lil Baby?
I think 22, 21, 22.
Is he a fella?
He's been in jail before.
Is he our public example? Y'all need to talk to me. Is he our public example?
I don't want him to be my public example.
One person said he's not my public example, even though there's good that can come out of bad and there's bad that can come out of good. Don't get the message misconstrued. But who are we really ascribing to? And what are we really listening to? So back to Lil Baby and or the question, is he a felon? Okay, if he's a felon, then we need to discuss what a felon is and what that constitutes as well. Caleb, go.
I think because if a person went to prison, that doesn't disqualify them from being a leader, right, or being approved. But I also think that some of these people, athletes, people of entertainment, they don't sign up to be civil rights activists. So giving them that responsibility, they didn't really sign up for it. So him.
What if you sign up for selling music to the neighborhood, to the disenfranchised? You signing up that you become a public figure of some sort or another. Okay, so you can't have it both ways. You can't have the most popular guy who's a thug rapper who's telling us about the drugs and I smoke this and I Molly Percocet and all this and all that. Then by the same token, they're gonna be an advocate for peace.
But he doesn't have nobody in his life to bring him. So he only knows what he knows.
So that means that the Jim Crow system, the new Jim Crow system, points us to that. which leads me to a further discussion, and we're probably down to 10 to no more than 15 minutes, y'all bear with me, which leads me to a further discussion about George Floyd. How many have heard of Candace Owens and various other intellectual Republican conservatives? Candace Owens, intellectual public conservatives. She says in one of her dissertations on YouTube that George Floyd has probably a 6 or 7 time prison stint. Y'all heard that? Most of you probably haven't, because we trigger ourselves to this emotionalism that I'm gonna just go out here and do something. I'm gonna go out here and tear down. I'm gonna burn the windows down to where the young man just got shot in the back. How can we say that that was not a black owned? It's a franchise, but how can we say, Luke, that that was not a black owned? Or how can we say if they went to tear down Fellowship, whom the owner and proprietor sit right in our midst, was breaking that window gonna be the positive message to our society? Yes.
Well, the person who initially started the fire at the Wendy's was a white person.
But she was the girlfriend of the black person.
Yes.
So we already know how we look upon white girls who go with black guys. But what does that have to do with it? How do we know burning that windows down hurt the white community? Who was it designed to hurt? When you tear out Fellowship and snatch all the flat screens off the wall, who is it hurting?
It's the message.
Where is the real benefit to the struggle? What is that gonna mean that you coming up out of Walgreens with all this Adderall and all these drugs to go back to your community and sell them to Ed and Elijah?
Killer Mike said something that was so profound that he said,
Talk up.
don't tear, I said Killer Mike said something in the CNN interview, and he said, don't tear down your own home. And I think he approved that some things are necessary, but it's time to plan and like react accordingly. I don't bash and tear down fire, because I mean God used his people to burn down cities just like, you know what I'm saying? So it is of God for some things to be executed.
Pay your fire insurance up, church. Oh, here comes the Christian community. They're going to burn it all down, saying this in the name of God. Question from the audience. Hold on. Anybody else, when it comes to this trap music and who our leaders are, who our spokespersons are? BK, Vocam, BK, trap music. Do you listen to it? Do you ascribe to it? Is it beneficial on all fronts? BK.
I do listen to trap music. I do think that it is the benefit of it is for it to get out. That's what I think.
The messaging.
The messaging.
All of it.
I think it's for it to get out and to, like you said, tell the story of the unheard, which is our people are, particularly in young black males, who latch on, to each other and, get into gangs to basically make a living for themselves. Really, that's how a lot of people.
Because ain't nothing else available. Okay, so the Jim Crow has resigned us to the prison population. And they are terribly insensitive to rehab, giving you a second chance. Now some abuse it, but to this extent of what Candace Owens said, and then to you, Cam, when you said that George Floyd was a 7-time prison sentence guy. What comes to our mind and our spirit as it relates to that? Because we see him, he's now an iconic figure all over the world. And we all saw the murder. It was clear-cut a murder. But it was precipitated by the mere fact that he passed what they presumed to be a counterfeit $20 bill. Some people believe it, some don't. They say now it jumps out on social media that he did it. Then they say he had fentanyl in his system. Have you read the autopsy? Or are you just listening to the nonsense on Facebook? And drawing your own conclusion. If he had fentanyl in his system, if he had drugs in his system, did that precipitate misconduct? Think about that, Cam.
think I just want to stay on the topic here about trap music, not fentanyl. And one thing about it is, it's a way out for a person who, in essence, that's all they have. When you give a person when you put a felony on a person's record, it's not too much that a person can do. You can't go to college. You can't go get a job that's going to give you the type of figures of the stability that will get you out of the current situation that you're in right now. So, when you talk about the Lil Babies of the world, the Jeezys of the world, the T.I.s, the 2 Chainz, you know, the influential rappers in this day and time, you know, most, if not all, have some type of felony on their record. So all music isn't bad music, but all music does tell a story. So when you look at a Lil Baby and you see or you hear, you know, the bigger picture, I think the biggest line in there that made sense or registered to me was he stated, all blacks aren't dumb and all white people ain't racist. And I think when we hear that, you know, it just puts a understanding of where we are as a society right now, and understanding from the young people to the old. When you hear, it's just more relatable to us, because I say, yeah, you may say trap music may be derogatory to my children, myself, or anybody else that listens to it, but what's worse than a known racist that's making music back in the day? I'm not going to name names, but when you look at the 60s and the 70s, and you know, people who had very influence in the music industry, from Motown to things like that, I'm not sure, Cadillac Records or things like that, if their mental wasn't Jim Crow, but they had a hit, and I'm just saying, just off of the premise of this topic, let's say the Beach Boys, they were known racists. Johnny Cash, a known racist.
Are you saying they
No, I'm just using those names, and I apologize. I'm just using those names. Frank Sinatra, well-known figures in the music industry. What's the difference between them having a more racist, systematic mentality and pushing out music that may not state it, but a person like a Lil Baby who has a track record of violence and his music speaks on violence, but when you see his shows, you see white, black, blue, green, red, it doesn't matter. It's still bringing people together. So, you know, and none of the people who I stated, I don't know for a fact if they are racist. I'm just using those names as an example, just non-disclosure. So I just want to make sure that we are understanding of all people. Everybody that's in the gang ain't violent. You know what I'm saying? Like Peggy has said, the gang was related to protect the oppressed from the people who were supposed to protect us. So, you know, I think we all should have an open mind to understanding, you know, where everybody's coming from. People that are looting, you know, they may not be educated of the fact of why they're looting, but people of color are fed up. So when a person's running in and out of Walmart, person's running in and out of CVS, person's running in and out of Wendy's, burning up, turning up, doing different things, they may not be educated, but at the same time, they are being faced with many different challenges than the people on another part of town, or other people that may not have the same color on their skin. So that's kind of the concept right there.
Question from the audience, Ms. Syria.
What we have seen, or my question to you all would be, us as business owners, would you all be willing to work as hard as, especially being a college graduate? My husband, he's not a college graduate. He dropped out of college. His background, criminal record is not spotless, but he works hard. He has worked hard. He gets up at 2:30 in the morning. Sometimes he doesn't get home till 9 o'clock at night. His business is a $800,000 a year business. What do you think that your generation is willing to work as hard and do what he does to make, make a good living? Like I said, what we found, even when we look for employees with your generation, is that, oh, that's too long. That's too much work. I can't do that. Or, oh, you're not paying enough. Or, and then we've had other people that's been like, hey, thank you, I appreciate that. So do you feel like your generation is open to starting from the bottom, even if you have a college degree and working your way up? Or do you think that just because you graduated from college, you're just supposed to go out the gates making $100,000 a year? I mean, would you be willing, do you think as a whole with you and your friends, are you all willing to take that $30,000 and work and get up at 2 and work 14, 16-hour days? I mean, or what are your thoughts on starting from the bottom?
Well, so I'm thinking, a way to address your question here. So me personally, yes, I'm willing to start from the bottom, and it's I graduated high school. That's my highest, that's what education I achieved. Sophomore college. So right now, personally, I feel like I could, be open to starting from the bottom, going back, working harder, day in, day out. But I think everybody's not the same. Everybody's different. Everybody's different mindset. Everybody's not cut the same. Mm-hmm. And so it's just, me personally, I feel like we do need to work together. And one point, I feel like we need to, I think financial literacy is a big thing that we need to teach in our community and, grow so that we can be business owners and at a younger age, and we can do things at a younger age, have lives, successful lives. I think financial literacy is a big help to that, and that's pretty much it.
So like for you graduated, so, and even just graduating from high school, if someone such as him or anyone else that own their own business that would be willing to give a younger guy an opportunity and say, hey, I'm gonna teach you this, I'm gonna show you this, do you see in your generation or people that are around you, I mean, of course you can't speak for everyone, but do you see where people would, or people of your age would be willing to accept that and work with that?
I actually agree. My mom is actually a small black business owner, so definitely I believe in the vision. So definitely, I agree the idea of coming out of college now that I'm an official graduate Morehouse man of Morehouse College.
Your major is?
Psychology.
So
I'm willing to do the work. I'm going on this fall to pursue social work at the University of Michigan. I'm also interested in pursuing business ventures with local black businesses along the way. I definitely feel like this time I'm going to definitely start a foundation, because I feel like this idea of financial freedom for people of color, we have started a foundation once we make the accomplishments and gain these accolades. So definitely, I just feel like when we assist our fellow black businesses as young people, we're taking the bricks and building the foundation of this house of solidarity for black excellence, black businesses, all that good stuff. So definitely, I'm definitely willing and I accept the challenge.
One thing concerning Trey is he's our sanitation engineer throughout our summer enrichment. His whole job, psychology graduate of Morehouse, a school of excellence and distinction, is wipe the chairs down, mop the floor, sweep up. I asked Caleb, and I'm putting him on blast, that you got 2 more years of playing. If that does not promote you to the next level, which I'm telling you now, I doubt it. So you must have that fire in your belly to make me wrong. But if I'm not wrong, you're gonna start providing for yourself. I asked Kayla probably 6 to 8 months ago about a task with our family-owned lounge. He tells me that's beneath his resume. So contrary to what Trey just said and contrary to what BK just said, I'm gonna let him answer where he is, and that clock is ticking. Because you're not gonna live off your brother, you're not gonna live off your daddy, you're not gonna live off your mama for the rest of your life. Everybody up here better be planning for your future. And society, white, black, or indifferent, don't really owe you nothing. So let me give you this to your close while y'all commenting on this, because this is 5 minutes. From that end to this end, you gonna mention your closing remarks. What you gathered from this, what's your most important thought about the discussion, systemic racism, Black Lives Matter, mass incarceration, Jim Crow, whatever you want to say. You got 3 to 4 minutes. I need you to be articulate and tell me that, and then close out with your artists that you ascribe to the most in trap music, and give me 3 or 4 bars of their lyrics. You ain't got to sing it, just tell it to me. All right, any more comments? Caleb, ball is in your court.
I believe she talked about, I want to point out something she said about our generation and being able to start from the bottom. And I feel like right now we worship quick fix and fast money.
True.
So, like for me, BK, pretty much everybody up here, we're privileged. And it's, you have to be aware. I feel like there's a lot of white people, I can't speak for everybody, but there's a lot of white people who don't see their privilege. So they can't understand and put themselves in another person's shoes. So it's our responsibility to understand our privilege as black people and say, I was able to graduate high school first off, have enough financial stability to make it to college, because that's already light years ahead of the people who don't even have the opportunity to. My second point is you can't control the cards that's dealt. So you can't really judge a person who has rich parents, and you can't judge a person who has no parents. So those children can't really control what they were put into this world with. And this, to a certain degree, what they can do with what they have. So whether we want to believe it or not, there's some people who can't accomplish certain things unless somebody helps them. Everybody can't do it by themselves. And some people were given a bigger platform than others. So I feel like it's important for us to know that those black people who we see in the struggle, in the trap, we stick our nose at, we say, oh, they listen to trap, they try these different things. Because all sin is sin if you want to look at it from God's eyes. I don't care if it's jealousy in the church. I don't care if it's Molly, Percocets, or shrooms, or marijuana. All those different things are sins, and for us to be of God's people, we always think that our sins is better than somebody else's. I feel like it's important for us to look in the mirror and stop saying that white people are racist, stop saying that all people who sag are thugs. It's time to stop saying that people who have tattoos carry themselves a certain type of way. People who have heavy, I don't know, like ebonics, that they're not intelligent. And I feel like it's time for us to move past and get with the program and understand what's right and wrong. The petty things we can leave behind and get with the program. I feel like God doesn't judge a person based off dreads or a low cut. So if you look at the truth and you understand what's right and wrong, and can get past our own, what society views as a neat person and a person who, you know what I'm saying, is not neat. I feel like we just have to do a better job of being accountable and seeing our privilege, and that everybody didn't get the opportunity that we did, and not being jealous of somebody else who does have the opportunity that we don't have.
Good point. I'm gonna get ready to close. We got one more question from the audience. Brother Jimmy has a question. Go, sir.
One question. What do a felon look like?
Your question is,
What do a felon look like?
what does a felon look like? Male or female? What does a felon look like? Is that a question for the panel or
Let's
the...
throw that out there. That's a statement. You looking at one. How many of you would have thought about it? 8 years of prison. Came out of prison, became president, NAACP, doing my own business, doing my own thing. Don't want nothing from the fight. Seen my dad bow down too many times, hold his head down, and said, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. I made up in my mind at that day, not me. Not me. And I meant that. Had trap houses, took women, called church, sold dope. Now I'm proud of it. No. Now I preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Had my first book in prison. This educated of the Negro. So I'm an example that you can. Put your mind to it, you can do it. Thank you, Bishop.
Bless you, Brother Jimmy. Bless you. Let me say this to everybody who's here. As a pastor and as a leader and as a stalwart staple in this community, I try hard. I'm not getting all y'all support. I'm gonna put you on blast. Don't come around me when you want something or when you need something. We need this every Sunday. Every Sunday. I need bright, articulate, I need guys who can't speak that well to the community to at least be here, because we're going to push you to become greater at who you are and what you are. But don't leave me out here with a little sparse congregation, making these people think I'm not making an impact in this town. Won't put your dues where your mouth is. Help me help them. All that talk is good. But it's time to put up a show. The way you protest is you don't just do it one time and sweat and then go home and think you've done something. Rome wasn't built overnight. That means you got to keep coming. Part of my protest is being here. I might not never get a chance to sing. I might not never get a chance to do anything. Are there any young people questions from the audience before we close? Y'all know what it is. When you stand this time, you get off of your seat, because you won't be sitting back down. Stand up. Give your closing remarks, your statement about what this day has meant to you, what you intended for them to learn from you, what you're going to do beyond this, and who your artist and his lyrics are. Yes, sir.
Real quick, one thing too about this generation, we have more opportunity. One thing about this generation, we have the opportunity to further our minds. So I think too, with older generations, they feel like we're not working as hard because we're not working with our hands, and we choose to work with our minds because we have the opportunity now. And that's one thing too, like I had a gap between myself and my grandfather. When she started working with his mom, but at first, when I would be on my computer, because this is my line, he was like, you playing, you're not really working hard. But that's my version of working hard, because I choose to work with my mind instead of my hand.
So his part of the struggle does not necessarily mean pulling a wagon and pushing